And welcome everybody to Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative Podcast. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast today. I hope everybody's doing really well. Today, folks, this is part 2 of our broadcast that we started yesterday on the dark secret behind China and President Trump's trip abroad and things that he probably should know about. Guys, this is big stuff. Folks, I really think from the feedback we got on yesterday's show, this is hitting a chord. And why? Well, it's because it's stuff you've never heard before. I mean, it's just literally stuff that you've never heard before, and it's stuff and the bigger question is why? Why haven't we heard any of this stuff? So when we get back, folks, we're going to talk a little bit more about the dark secrets of China and the things that President Trump should know. So stick around, folks. Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative Podcast. We'll be back just a second. Stick around. Folks, we are back to Sherman Ray. This is the Nevada Conservative Podcast. Thank you guys for being a part of the show today. Before we get going much further, I want to remind you folks, if you love this broadcast, and we know that people do because we've had quite a few people let us know that they love the show, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Yeah, we really don't get a lot of subscribers on this channel. I don't know why, but we should. And I encourage you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's still over here someplace. Just hit that subscribe button. That means every time we have one of these broadcasts that you will actually be updated, and you'll be the first person to tell all your friends, hey, I saw on the Nevada Conservative this really cool update. Also, we had some really close friends. They were asking me, hey, can we, locally anyways, do we have any information on judges, that kind of stuff? Well, as a policy for the Nevada Conservative, we don't endorse anybody prior to the primaries. And the reason why is because, we figure you as Americans, you know a horse from a chicken. And so we don't want to pit people because there's so many great people out there that are running for office. We don't want to dissuade you folks because we believe that there's a lot of great Republicans that are running right. We have a deep bench, you guys. But after the primaries, we definitely will be endorsing people. And if you're a candidate, let us know. Okay. When we first got this broadcast started, we used to do that all the time. We used to actually have candidates on all the time, and we will do that again. So stick around for that. So yesterday, we talked about China a lot. And one of the things that we did not do, that we just didn't have enough time, is we didn't get into literally the amount of spying that is going on by China in the United States. Many of you know that President Trump is in Beijing right now. He's meeting with President Xi Jinping, and he is doing his best to lay the groundwork for some trade talks and all the other stuff. And that's wonderful. China and America are the two top economies, the two top militaries on the planet. And yet, there is some animosity that China has towards America. And I kept thinking to myself, why do you have this animosity towards us? And so on the first show that we had yesterday on this, we talked about something that I think a lot of people did not know about. And it was something called the China's Century of Humiliation. And just as a reminder of what that was, is basically China feels like back in the 1800s and part of the 1900s, early 1900s, that the United States joined with Britain and other colonialists, I guess, and basically humiliated them. They believe that we have split China all apart, and as a result of that, we feel like we're just the big bad boys and that we can do anything we want to the rest of the world. And so in their schools, they actually teach this thing, the century of humiliation. They talk about the opium wars, and they talk about U.S. imperialism and how we have done, and we've tried to split up China, and we don't want China to become all that it can be. Marco Rubio said something very interesting today, and I watched Marco Rubio as he was he was flying to Beijing for this summit that they're doing right now in China. And he says, you know what? Xi Jinping is a very smart guy. He wants to do everything he can for China. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody should. I mean, if you're the president of Italy, if you're the president of Russia, whatever country you are, you should be pro you are. But and America is the same way. Donald Trump is that way, that we are very pro-American, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we hope that China does the best that it can be, just not at the expense of America, and that we are not going to create policy, and we're not going to agree to a policy that is going to be detrimental to the United States. That's happened over the years, guys. Over the years, we've said, oh, yes, we'll just give away everything. We'll give away the farm, and we'll give away all of our subsidies, and we'll give away taxes and do all kinds of stuff just so that your country can do well. And guess what? That was stupid. Because now we're in the place where we're at right now. We're a country that should be very grateful to us. China is just basically saying, hey, we screwed them, okay? And so they've got this century of humiliation that we've been talking about here. And this century of humiliation, they're basically teaching this in their schools, and they're saying, hey, USA sucks. And it's funny because we saw this thing, and we're going to get to the show today, part 2 of the show. But I don't know if many of you saw what happened yesterday when the president touched down in China. And he gets off the plane, and all these kids are out there, and they're jumping up and down, and they're just got their flags, and they're just jumping up and down. And they've got these great armies and military people standing up. And I thought, wow, and that's remarkable, too, because all those people were really tall. Did you notice that? The average height of somebody in China is what, 5'7"? I think it's 5'7", which is about my height. Okay, and I'm not a very tall person at all. And Donald Trump is a solid 6'3". Okay, and all those people that I saw, even the women, were just like 6'4", 6'5". They must have gone through and weeded through everybody to find the tallest people they could find, stick them up there on the front lines, get all the most exuberant kids as they could, and have them jump up and down and everything else. But secretly in their heart, in the schools that they're being taught that America is imperialist scums. And they don't like us. 80% from what I've been getting, 80% of the folks that are being indoctrinated in China do not like America. And I know it's a blanket statement, and I hope the president doesn't get upset at me, because I know he's watching this broadcast, of course, and the people in the State Department don't want to screw up what's going on. But we cannot be fooled into thinking that China loves us, because they don't. They want to be the number one economy. They want to be the number one military, and they will do anything and everything that they can do to be that. And that's what this part 2 of this show is all about. It's about the things that they're doing behind the scene that, and I only tracked back to the 60 years, but guys, when you hear about this, you're going to say to yourself, what? This is China? Not China. They wouldn't do those things to us. Yes, they would. We're going to talk about it. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to take a really quick break because I want to drink a little tea here because I was out playing golf just a little while ago. So when we come back, folks, we're going to talk all about what China's been doing behind the scenes over the last 60 years, the amount of spying, subversion, espionage that China's been doing behind the scenes that we probably don't even know about. So this is Sherman TNC Podcast. We'll be back in just a second. Stick around. let's get to this, man. All right, I'm back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. This is part 2 of the show we started yesterday, the dark secret behind President Trump's trip to China, things he needs to know about the Chinese. And folks, I know the president's a very smart guy, so I'm speaking to the choir here. He probably knows all that's going on in China, but you know what? I don't trust Xi as far as I can throw him, guys. I really don't. So let's talk about the amount of spying that's been going on by the Chinese over let's say the last 60 years. Okay. Wow. Where are we going to start? Public data on CCP, their espionage stretched back well over 60 years. So this is well over 60 years of data on this. Though pre-2000 cases are often declassified through congressional probes rather than exhaustive database, the threat started with classic human intelligence, or HUMINT, okay, HUMINT, during Cold War and exploded into cyber economic and whole of society operations under Xi Jinping. Okay, so it got really ramped up under Xi Jinping. Xi is a master at this thing. So here's some historical data. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can because we run out of time so much. This is from 1960 through 1990. Okay, one of the longest running cases was Larry Wu Tai Chin, a CIA translator and analyst who spied for the PRC from the 50s until his 1985 arrest. He was convicted in 1986 of 17 counts. He fed classified intel on the U.S. policy towards China and Southeast Asia for decades while working inside the U.S. intelligence. This is just the first one, guys. Don't worry. We're going to get to a lot of 1999, Cox report on the House Select Committee documented systematic PRC theft of U.S. nuclear weapons designs from labs like Los Alamos in the 1980s through the 1990s, calling it a pervasive campaign that escalated China's military modernization. So basically what the Chinese people did is they were able to modernize their weapons through espionage and through stealing data from us. Post 2000, okay, or from before 2000 to then, there was a surge. The gold standard tracker is the Center for Strategic and Intelligence Studies, the CSIS. The survey of Chinese espionage in the United States since 2000. And it was updated in 2023. It logs, get this, 224 publicly reported instances. 224 of the CCP, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Of CCP linked espionage. And here's some breakdowns on this, guys, okay? 69% of there, or about 155 of these cases, occurred after Xi took power, okay? Which means he just ramped it up. He said, guys, guess what? You've been slowing down, and we need to really get the old spying thing going on, okay? That's from 2012, 2013, and onward, okay? Actors, 49% were Chinese military government employees, 41% were private Chinese citizens, often recruited or coerced. And we've talked about this before, too, where the Chinese basically tell their people, guess what? If you're a Chinese citizen, you are beholden by law to spy for us. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second, too. But this is pervasive. So I don't know. I want you to understand this, folks. I'm not trying to get you to look over your shoulder at every Chinese person that walks up and down the street. That's not the point of this at all. The point of this is that because there's so many great Chinese folks that are living here in America, right? And I don't want this to turn into some kind of race thing, because that has nothing to do with it at all. But the reality of this is, folks, is that there are a lot of people from China in here in America who are spying directly for the CCP. There's no doubt about it. We keep finding them over and over again, and that's what the whole point of this whole thing is. So when President Trump is going around and he's telling Xi, we want to work with you and everything else. I think in the back of his head, he's probably thinking, you spying dirty dog. You're sending your people over here and you're spying and you're doing all kinds of crazy stuff in America, and I got to try to do a deal with you. And that's the point of this whole thing, okay? So I just wanted to put that in there, okay? So 41% of these are private Chinese citizens. Okay, their target, 45% were commercial trade secrets, which means they're looking to they want to reverse engineer iPhones. They want to reverse engineer all the good stuff that we have. Semiconductors, aerospace stuff, pharmacy. 29% of it is military tech, to be specific, like the F-35. Guess what? The Chinese have their own version of the F-35 jet. Nuclear information. Hey, they want that kind of stuff too. 17% are political or civilian influence. Hacking became the preferred method. 104 cyber incidents in the last decade alone. And that's just China. That's not even calling on everybody else, but we're sticking with China itself. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It includes IP lawsuits, smuggling, or ops against the U.S. assets in China. Chinese intelligence operations in San Francisco are part of a broader long-term effort by the People's Republic of China. Okay, before we take this break, I'm going to tell you a little bit of what happened in China, in San Francisco alone, and this should make the hair on your neck just go up. Okay, many of you know that just recently Eric Swalwell, that piece of work, Eric Swalwell, he was part of what they call a honeypot operation, where he had a woman by the name of Christine Fang, or we call her Fang Fang. He was targeted by her. There was also Representative Mike Honda. He was actually targeted also. Fang Fang, engaged in fundraising and a romantic relationship with mayors to build networks and networking ties. So what they basically did, and this according to Axios, is she was using these guys to get in closer and closer to other people. They were useful idiots. And if you think that's the only person, Dianne Feinstein, she was a part of it also. Who else was it? Got it. Also, let me give you this last one, okay? And then we'll take a break. Okay? 2008, Olympic torch relay. Some of you remember this. This was terrible. Chinese officials, including Ministry of State security officers, were reported to have used the San Francisco consulate to manage thousands of counter-protesters to disrupt the pro-Tibet and Falun Gong protest. And this was and they call this the 2008 Olympic torch relay. Guys, there's so many other things that we were going to talk about here. Let's do this. Let's take a really quick break. We want to get to this last segment, because I want to tell you a little bit about the amount of spying that is going on in America that I don't think we get it. I just don't think we actually get it, but we need to get it as quickly as possible. So let's take a really quick break. We'll be back in just a second. All right, folks, we are back. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. Thank you guys for being a part of the broadcast. I want to remind everybody, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. Just thank you. Some of you have been a part of this from the beginning, and I want to thank you for that. I remember we had a video that we put up, and it's one of our. We don't have a lot of videos that that go viral, but we had one that just went nuts, and that was just about a month ago, not even a month ago, and we literally hit tens of thousands of people who were watching our videos, and so I want to thank you for that. We try to put these up as much as we can, and it's because we know that there's a it's skinny to get conservative viewpoints out there in this world, and especially in Nevada. We consider ourselves the voice of Nevada, and so I want to thank you all. We don't take this lightly. We're going to try to do as much as we can to keep putting this kind of content up for you, and especially during this election cycle, because we got a lot of things that are going on. So you can check us out on our website at thenevadaconservative.com. You can write to us at thenevadaconservative@gmail.com. See us on Spotify, on where else we're at. We're on Spotify, we're on Truth Social, we're on Rumble, YouTube, of course, and on Facebook, and on X. Okay, we're on X also, too. So you can check us all out. So today we're talking about part 2 in our series on the dark secret behind President Trump's secret trip to China and things we think he should know. Now, we know President You Know It All because he's the guy who wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, but there are things that I was just finding out about. I had no idea. It wasn't taught in our schools. We've never been taught. I mean, and it's funny because the president actually brought some things to the table, his first banquet, and he was talking to Xi and all these other people, and he was wooing them. He really was. He was wooing them, and he said, "Hey, guess what? That Chinese had this to do with this, and they had things to do with that." And it's true. Okay, so there's some great things that the Chinese people have done, and yet there's also things that the Chinese government has done that is just reprehensible. Many of us know that China is an atheist nation, which means they tolerate Christians, but they're not going to go around saying, "Hey, be a Christian." Even though there's more Christians in China than there are any place on the planet, okay, just because there's so many people there. But they're not going around saying, "Hey, everybody be a Christian." So they're not pushing that. As a matter of fact, they don't like it at all because they want Xi to be the ultimate, and they want the state to be the ultimate, giver of everything else. A lot of people don't remember about the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs were ethnically, they're a Muslim group of folks, and as far as I know, the Uyghurs are still in internment camps in China, and there's well over 1 million of those folks that are there. As far as I know, if you try to bring in a Bible to China, you could be arrested. As far as I know, Jimmy Lai, who was put in jail 20 years ago in China, is still there to this day. And I hope the president actually brings that up. He brings up the fact that Jimmy Lai is in prison and he needs to be released. We give preferential treatment to China like they're Great Britain or something like that, or they're Australia or they're some close, ally of us, and they're not even close. So I think we need to let them know we're holding your feet to the fire. And if you don't like it, guys, guess what? I think, and I know a lot of people are not going to be very happy with me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. We can do everything on our own. We do not need China to provide us cheap crap. Okay? We don't need them for our electronics. We don't need them for a whole host of things. And the things that right now they have cornered the market on because we've outsourced it to them, we can do that here in America. Or we can do it in the Americas. Okay? We've got Haiti, we've got Jamaica, we've got the Caribbean, we've got Latin America. We can do everything we want off of in the Americas alone. We don't need China to do anything for us. And once America starts thinking about this, we should start thinking, you know what? We should decouple with them. Until they decide that they really want to play ball with us, I think we ought to let them know, guess what? Go ahead and do it yourself then. You go ahead. Everybody wants to go ahead and jump in bed with China. You go ahead and jump in bed with China and see how much it costs you. Okay. We just have a couple more minutes left. Let's go over some of the more more spying that China has done in America. Okay, let's talk the whole of society approach. Okay, let's talk about this. Unlike traditional espionage, China's approach, the whole of society approach, involves leveraging business leaders, community organizations, and students to advance Beijing's interests. And what does that look like, folks? What they basically do is they get in bed with you. They might do a honeypot thing on you. Okay, guess what? Hey, we're a business leader. You know, we got you where we want you, and we'll blackmail you, or we'll get into your company and we'll get into your one of your sensitive areas, and we'll just steal your information. Okay, and or they use their students. We've got tens of thousands of Chinese students here in America. And basically, each one of them is beholden not to America, who is giving you the opportunity to get smart here in America. No, they're beholden to China. And then these Chinese students not only are getting an education here, but many of them are going to work for our most sensitive areas in the United States because we give them a great education and they study. And what do these guys do? Well, they take that information and they send it all back to the China. Folks, we got to start thinking about this. I mean, if it were up to me, guys, I'd be having a problem with this. Okay, I do. They also use harassment and surveillance, monitoring dissidents and members. Remember, we just talked about of the Uyghurs. Okay, the Uyghurs and Tibetan communities in the Bay Area. Okay, they monitor those folks. The folks in the Bay Area. I thought about this earlier too. We have Chinatowns there's Chinatowns in Canada, San Francisco. We have them here in Las Vegas. There's Chinatown in New York. There's Chinatowns all over the place, right? How do we know? Okay, and I'm going to say it. Okay, I may be wrong. Okay, sue me if I'm wrong, folks. I can almost guarantee you that in each one of those Chinatowns, it is a listening post or is a hotbed, a petri dish for the CCP to leverage those folks into getting information about the city or the state that they're in, especially if it's in a military city. I can guarantee you. Shoot me if you want. I've got my tinfoil hat on, okay? But until you tell me something differently, I can almost guarantee that's what it is. Okay? So anyways, we're gonna run low. Okay. What's the most pertinent thing here? Okay. I'm gonna read you some more stats here, folks, and then we're gonna have to end because we're gonna run over. Okay. Since 2021, the House Committee on Homeland Security on China's threat snapshot released in 2025 documents more than 60 CCP-related espionage transnational repression cases across 20 states. This includes stealing military info, trade secrets, operating secret police stations, and we know that's happening I think it happened in New York, harassing dissidents. That means they're not going up to Americans. Any Chinese person that's coming here, they got people already here in America, and they're going, hey, shaking the people that are here, going, hey, you guys need to work for China. Okay. FBI stats cited 80% of economic espionage prosecutions benefit China. Okay. China linked trade secret theft in 60% of cases. The Bureau opens a new China counterintelligence case every 10 to 12 hours. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. As of 2020 through 2022 testimony, nearly half of the FBI's 5,000 active CI cases were Chinese related. With economic espionage cases up, get this, a whopping 1,300% in the prior decade. Okay, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and we'll end on this game. FBI Director Christopher Wray's repeated warnings since 2020 through 2024. No country presents a broader threat to our ideas, innovation, and economic security than, guess who? China. Okay. Annually, U.S. loses from CCP IP theft. Estimates range from $225 to $600 billion. Okay. This is costing each one of us, guys, per household, about $6,000 in lost wages and taxes every year. Okay. This is what China is representing to us. And so here's the deal. Okay. And we're done because we're going to run over here. This is my idea on this, folks, is that yes, the president is going over to do some trade deals with China because they are a necessary evil in this world right now, okay? But I got to tell you something, folks. I am not high on China. Not at all. It's not because I'm racist, okay? It's because I think that I've learned a little bit about what China is capable of doing. Our former Secretary of State said something very interesting. He said that Xi Jinping is a cold-blooded killer, that there's something cold about him, that he could order the executions of people without even thinking about it. And when I look at the picture of this guy, and I go, you know what? This guy's just, he's looking at President Trump, and he's not saying, hey, we're going to work together because, you know what, China, because America saved our butts in WW2, that if it weren't for the United States, we wouldn't even be a part of the family of nations. No, they're looking at us as imperialists who should be destroyed, and that we are just an obstacle, that we're a declining society, and it's just a matter of time before we go bye-bye. That we're on the ash heap of society, the ash heap of memories. That's the way I think China is looking at America, and I think, guys, guess what? We need to get smart. Okay, so here's my suggestion for whatever it's worth. President Trump, I think you ought to be a hard line against China and say, look, guys, this is the way it's going to be. You're not getting back Taiwan. We are not going to say that Taiwan is yours, because Taiwan doesn't want to be yours. And if Taiwan doesn't want to be yours, then screw you. Also, I would say, hey, guess what? If you want to trade with us, then you need to give us the rock bottom of everything. We don't want your Chinese cars in. We want you out of anything that is located near any of our military stuff. And all your people who are committing espionage in America, we're kicking them out. And if you keep doing it, we're going to kick all your students out too. So you won't get any education here. You can do it yourself. If you think that you're so smart, that your people are so smart, educate them in China then. If you think that you're so smart, get your kids out too, Xi, because we know that your elites have their kids here too. Get all your kids out. I'm not even mentioning the birthright citizenship and the anchor baby stuff. I'm not even mentioning that stuff, okay? That's not for another show. But, folks, we gotta go. We've got to end, okay? Anyways, folks, this has been Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative Podcast. I want to thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, folks. If you love what you hear, folks, please write to us. Let us know that you love what we're doing. You can reach us at thenevadaconservative@gmail.com, thenevadaconservative@gmail.com. We will also have this broadcast up on Spotify in the next, I don't know, hour or two, something like that, so you can check it out there. You can watch us on YouTube, Rumble, and on Spotify and Truth. That's what I was thinking, Truth Social. Anyways, this has been Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative Podcast. Thank you once again, folks. We will see you again, hopefully, on Friday, okay? You have a blessed one. See you later. Bye-bye.